Hello, I'm Lara Kulchasan and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. And right now, ICE raids and the impact it's having on affected communities is dominating the social media landscape. Parents are taking steps to protect their children across the United States as immigration and customs enforcement operations ramp up. The raids, often carried out by ICE agents wearing masks and carrying weapons, have expanded from the streets to schools. Recent ICE actions have left many children traumatized and scared. It comes after high-profile arrests and deadly incidents in Minnesota. Rights groups and mental health professionals report that raids and detentions are leaving children fearful, withdrawn, and even struggling in school. Experts caution that prolonged confinement and the visible presence of enforcement in neighborhoods are disrupting family life and causing long-term emotional harm. Data shows that nearly 4,000 children have been detained by the agency under the second Trump administration. Over 12% are under the age of 5.
Even if kids don't understand what is truly happening, their bodies do. Their nervous system registers fear, the sirens, the whispers, the tension in the home. Children become hypervigilant. They start checking windows, worrying when parents are late, or even having nightmares. Their little bodies stay in fight or flight even after the danger is over. Because the truth is that safety isn't just about being physically safe.
ICE is a key part of President Donald Trump's expanded immigration crackdown. Across the country, ordinary citizens are resisting ICE operations in whatever way they can, sharing warnings online and offline, organizing neighborhood alerts, and stepping in at schools to protect students. Communities try to shield people from immigration enforcement, especially as its agents have become increasingly aggressive, particularly in Minneapolis.
Not here. This is a classroom.
Ma'am, we just need to speak.
No, you don't. You don't come in here flashing badges, scaring kids. Not in my room. I don't care what you got. This is a school. You got a warrant?
I'm outside. I'm outside. It doesn't say out here.
There is also growing concern from doctors that ICE raids are deterring people from seeking care.
I work overnights at Children's, and I had a patient show up at 4:30 in the morning. I might start crying. She had 4 children with influenza, vomiting, diarrhea at home. She had to triage, self-triage, and think which is the sickest kid. So all night this lady was watching out of her window. She said when I felt that the road was clear, she brought her 13-year-old in. And she had a 6-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 3-year-old at home with worse symptoms than him, but she said they wouldn't know what to do if ICE vehicle was around. And there is this 13-year-old who has not known anything else except the United States of America, sitting there traumatized, lethargic, dehydrated to no limit.
And in the wake of spiraling nationwide protests, members of the Republican Party appear to be changing their tune, especially with the midterm elections looming. Even President Trump appears to be softening his stance on the immigration crackdown in Minnesota. He's replaced his border chief and says the government will de-escalate in the state. Minnesota's Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar has been leading calls for the raids to end. On Tuesday, the Somali-American congresswoman came under attack herself.
Ilhan Omar, a politician from Minnesota, was attacked at a town hall. A man ran at her and sprayed her with some unknown substance. Trained security tackled that man and essentially eliminated the threat safely. Meanwhile, a nurse tried to help a woman in the street who had just been double-handed pushed by ICE, and ICE sprayed that nurse with mace, beat him, and then shot him 10 times. And to other people saying that Walz is responsible for these murders because he said that we should protest peacefully and de-escalate and support our immigrant communities. Oh yeah, that's such violent rhetoric. Whereas Trump literally calls Ilhan Omar a terrorist for simply being Muslim. Take some responsibility, Trump. Like, ICE is responsible for murdering them. They murdered them.
For the first time in history, parents, teenagers, and school districts are taking on big tech in open court. A landmark series of trials has begun in Los Angeles, with hundreds of US families accusing some of the world's most powerful social media companies of intentionally designing addictive platforms that harm children. The lawsuits target Meta, Snap, TikTok, and YouTube, alleging that once young users are hooked, it can lead to depression, eating disorders, self-harm, and other mental health issues. Around 1,600 plaintiffs are involved. They are seeking damages and court-ordered changes to how platforms are designed. If successful, it could reshape the entire industry. Just days before proceedings began, Snap and TikTok settled with one plaintiff, denying wrongdoing. Technology journalist and author Chris Stockel-Walker talks about what this means for the tech companies.
How could age bans impact social media profits?
Young people, and particularly those sort of teenagers, have a huge impact on the bottom line of social media companies. Not necessarily right now, because generally those social platforms say that they don't advertise to those younger users, and people are watching very carefully to ensure that they don't, but because actually they ingrain in them the habits of tomorrow. So you become a real keen consumer of these sorts of platforms when you start to have disposable income in your late teenage years, and then bring that on towards being an adult. And so it's at that point, I think, that really these things become vital for the bottom lines of these companies, because when you are an adult and you have this sort of money to spend, that is when they really do start to make their money from targeted advertising that they sell to other products.
Can platforms still hook users if access is delayed?
Don't get those habits ingrained at a young age, then it does become more difficult. And actually that is one of the things that I think is good about this, is that it stops that addiction that is happening at a very young age and gives people the choice to have something different. But one of the things I think is underpinning this whole debate and this discussion is an absence, currently at least, of evidence.
Does social media contribute to poor mental health?
In the time that obviously we have started adopting social media, we have to bear in mind there have been huge changes in our lives in other ways. We have gone through a global pandemic. We have gone through, if you look in the last 20 years or so, huge changes to our economies, including multiple recessions. And so really, I think what is difficult to understand scientifically, and what we will get from the Australia experiment, is a real understanding of how much of this addiction, this worry, this anxiety that we know and recognize is happening in our young people is due to social media, and how much of it is actually due to external forces.
How will big tech work around these restrictions?
You know, in some ways, the tech companies have been treating this both as a welcome measure and also as a concerning measure. So they like to say publicly that this is something that is good for them. They will adhere to the rules. They believe in responsibility, and they would have done it themselves. But actually, if you're going to bring in regulation, then fine, we will also follow that. But we might have other ideas of how it could be done better. And you can believe that honestly if you want, or you can not believe it, depending on your stance on big tech and social media. But at the same time, there is a massive lobbying campaign going on to try and weaken these laws and to hammer them down. The Digital Services Act, which is of course one of the ways in which this is being enforced in Europe, and one of the ways in which we're starting to see this really cracking down on social platforms. But there are other rules going through European parliamentary procedures right now to do with the digital world that have been weakened a little bit. And I think what we're starting to see is some of that money and time being spent on lobbying really starting to bear it in watering down some of this legislation.
The European Union is putting Elon Musk's Grok, the AI chatbot from X, under greater scrutiny. Regulators have opened a formal investigation to assess whether the system complies with the bloc's digital safety laws, following mounting concerns that it sexualizes images of women and children. X says changes have been made, but critics argue they don't go far enough. Victoria has more.
When Elon Musk launched the latest edition of his Grok chatbot last summer, he called it remarkable. The smartest artificial intelligence in the world. saying the rate of its development was, quote, frankly, a little terrifying. It wasn't long before that power became evident, but in a more troubling way, when a new editing feature was added.
The first is a simple photo of me innocently posted on social media. The second was generated in a matter of seconds by artificial intelligence, which stripped me naked and sexualized me without my consent. This image does not exist, but it is circulating. It is shocking. It is humiliating.
The news that researchers had found 3 million sexualized images of women and children generated by the software in a matter of days prompted a global outcry. Now the European Union, with some of the strictest digital laws, is launching an official probe.
We have seen non-consensual deepfakes of women, and we have seen child sexual abuse material. In Europe, no company will make money by violating our fundamental rights.
The bloc says harm caused by the images is real, even if the images themselves aren't. And it will look at whether the parent company X properly took the risks into account. They aren't alone.
The actions of Grok and X are disgusting and they're shameful.
The UK's digital regulator is also looking into the issue. Spain's already moved towards tightening its consent rules on images in the wake of AI-created content, while France has referred the pictures to its prosecutors.
Closing down Grok.
Earlier this month, Musk's company said it was restricting the software and editing would only be available to paid subscribers. He also said action would be taken against illegal content. But at a recent Q&A, he didn't address the row, talking up new technology instead.
Who wouldn't want a robot to, assuming it's very safe, watch over your kids, take care of your pet?
Europe's decision to investigate will no doubt put it back into the US president's firing line. The administration has labelled European laws censorship, which unfairly target US companies. But on this issue, the EU's chief says child protection will not be outsourced to Silicon Valley.
Not every hangout needs to be loud, exciting, or romantic. A new viral trend is taking over social media, and it is redefining how people spend time together. It's called admin night, swapping nights out for shared productivity.
Basically, the premise is one night a week, you and a group of your girlfriends go to a cafe or a restaurant and bring your laptops, and the goal is to do life admin. That could mean answering emails, paying bills, working on projects that you've been putting off. It's really only supposed to be for your personal life and not your work life.
For example, I got married in 2025 and I've yet to change my name legally, so I'm going to be working on those documents tonight. Another one of my homegirls is creating a hair calendar for all of 2026 with plans of what hairstyle she's going to have each month. Some of us are going to be making grocery lists. One of my homegirls is getting married in 2026, so she's going to be planning her wedding.
I think canceling old subscriptions, cleaning out inboxes, booking doctor and dentist appointments, updating passwords and beneficiaries, I don't know, getting a will.
If weekly is too much, adjust it to your schedule. But it really was a fun way to connect with my friends, kind of outside of a weekend or a concert or a party setting.
And the wild part is, you leave lighter, you save money, and you didn't even have to spend a bunch to get time in with your friends. I know we're all balling on a budget, and in this economy you need to, so why don't you get together the snacks that you already have, some friends, and throw a little admin night get together. I think that sounds wonderful, and you might even learn a thing or two.
Adulthood comes with having to do more admin. In 2026, it is reshaping how people socialize. Low-key hangouts are replacing nights out, driven by rising costs, burnout, and a growing rethink of what fun actually means. Of course, admin night won't fix your finances or solve burnout overnight, but it does something maybe more important. It turns the most isolating parts of adult life into something shared. And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.